on a hard break. We'll be right back. And I have a question for you, Chris, to start out the questions. Do you love coffee, by the way?
Yes, I do.
Well, I have just the thing. Did you know that Blended Joe LLC, BLENDEDJOE.com is the sponsor for Aaron's Opinion? Well, if you didn't know, now you do. They have basically everything you could possibly want for coffee. They have fruit, they have nuts, all sorts of flavors, all sorts of seasons, all sorts of blends, from light, medium, dark, decaf, K-cups. You can get beans, ground, everything. You can even support a cause. They have all sorts of coffees that support different charitable efforts that they do, because really one of the main goal of Aaron's Opinion is to help one person and then help a million others by educating the world and by having a great and positive podcast. And that's what I hope to do, and that's what I always love and enjoy doing. So, as I like to say, whether you're on your couch, whether you're at home on your couch listening to Aaron's Opinion, or if you're on the go, going out in public, hopefully with your mask on, I guarantee that you will love every sip from Blended Joe. Until the end of the month, 20% off all purchases at checkout, promo code Aaron, AARON. One of the one of the biggest issues, or not really, one of the a big issue that a question that I want to address with you is, I want to talk about, if you were to solve, and there's 1,000 problems to solve in society and for blind people and all of that, but if you, Chris Walker, could solve one problem for all blind people in society, what problem would you solve first, and why?
Oh gosh, that's gonna be so broad.
Do you want me now? Do you want me to go first?
Sure. Let's hear you, and then I have an idea, but sure.
All right. One of the issues that really kind of challenged my thinking and made me think critically about what goes on in blindness, and in the blindness community, was the issue of Uber. And this is an issue that, Chris, I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And that listener, I've had basically, my summary of my experience with Uber is that I was very, very, very frustrated that very, very, very few Uber drivers gave me a hard time. I was very, very, very frustrated because mostly, in my opinion, most of the drivers that I encountered when I was maybe living in the Washington, D.C. area, maybe going to school, with my guide dog at the time, needing to use their app, use Uber, most of the drivers were fine and never gave me any problem. So really, philosophically, what bothered me the most about the problems that blind people have been having about Uber is that, when you think about it, in my opinion and in my own personal experience, most of the drivers were fine. And then you just have a couple bad eggs, a couple bad apples. Well, that brings down the whole orchard, So that's really, a major issue that I hope and know that the NFB is working on continuously and vigilant, and in a very vigilant way to make sure that, blind people are able to use Uber appropriately and safely. And I'll tell you, listener, all you have to do is go to YouTube and just pull up, horror stories from Uber. The horror stories go both ways. There have been some crazy drivers for Uber, but then again, there's been some crazy passengers where drivers say, you know what? The drivers have said, I was surprised surprised I survived the trip. So it goes both ways. It really does. There have been some, I'm addicted to YouTube. There's a YouTuber who produces mostly scary content, but he was saying he was an Uber or Lyft person. He picked up someone, and it was like one of these, people that doesn't have a name. They won't say your name. I don't have a name. I'm going to an address that doesn't exist, but you need to get me there. Those types. He was so scared, and he quit or something like that. There have been some crazy stuff with Uber. Your opinion, both personally, professionally, go right ahead.
Sure. So Uber, I know there's been a lot of National Federation of the Blind did sue Uber, at one time. So they started a survey called, I forgot what it was called, excuse me.
Sure. Perhaps
but anyways,
was it
they
it might have been maybe the
the
ride
ride share,
ride share
right?
experience, something
Yes,
like that. Yeah.
about guide dogs and being where they would call an Uber driver, and the Uber driver would just drive off, and
Or throw
so,
a fit.
yeah, and they would not. They would get into fights with the Uber drivers because the Uber drivers say, "I don't take dogs," things like that. So it's still a continuation of that. So we ask members or whoever to put out their experiences on the survey, so that way they can collect the data and let them and go back to Uber to let them know, saying, "Hey, this is still happening."
So my follow up to that, when NFB is collecting the data, what actions are going to be taken to follow up and to come full circle with the data and the facts and the information?
Well, hopefully a good outcome. Right now, they're still in the midst of working on that. It's always a continuous thing. Like you said, when you take Uber, just like anybody, I think anybody who takes Uber, because you can, I've gotten into cabs and, or wherever, and you can just run into something totally crazy and off the wall, that's unexpected. So those type of things, I always tell blind people who are there to make sure that the driver states their name. If you're using the Uber app, maybe try to use a service called Aira, where you have a live agent who can come and they can actually assist you in getting a Uber driver and let you know what vehicle, where they're at, they're coming, especially if you're in a crowded place and you're trying to find the vehicle, because sometimes the Uber driver can be very good or they could be just whatever. So those are some of the things. We use different tools in our toolbox that are available to us. If we don't have the site, then we have those services available, which we are so lucky now in these days. There's Be My Eyes as well, where there's volunteers that will come up and assist you. I've used these services. There's nothing wrong with it. I've helped them. They've helped me get through hotels when I'm on travel, to get me to my destination, to get you through airports, to get you to your Uber, to get you to wherever you need to go, train stations, bus stations. So it definitely, it's not a replacement for your orientation and mobility, but it's definitely a big extra help. So we definitely have to get creative, or you ask somebody for assistance to say, hey, can you help me out? There's no wrong, there's no right. And it really depends on the situation that you're in. The biggest thing about, getting sighted assistance through the airport, sometimes when you're in a big airport, a lot of people we want to do it independently, but sometimes for the sake of just the stress levels that people may be going through, or they may have other issues going on besides blindness, that they need that help. There's nothing wrong with that. So I always feel everybody's in a different situation and time. So, you may be going through the airport, but you're having a totally different experience than somebody else who's going through the airport. I always try to look at the bigger picture and a wider open frame, and not just box it in saying, oh, well, this happened to all blind people. Well, no, it didn't, because some people had some good experiences and some people had some bad. But we can share those experiences and let people know that, hey, yeah, it didn't work out that way, but, how can we make it better for us? When you're, especially, you want to be safe with Uber, especially when you can't, or anybody that's taking you any type of service, you want to be aware of your surroundings and maybe let other people know, hey, I'm traveling from point A to point B. But I think this is just good judgment and safety, I guess, and letting people know where you're going at times. And so that way you just have a backup of, how you're going to get there, and plan your things out. Give yourself extra time to get there. If you're taking paratransits or, leave enough time, things break down, they got to pick up other people. All these other things are going on. And, we're always like, oh, they're not here because they're not here on time. Or it's like, oh, well, maybe something might have happened. And things get, unfortunately, they get jacked up. And then it just kind of ruins, what's going on throughout the day. So I just tell people to be patient. It happens. Yeah. I hate to say it. Yeah, it sucks, but it does happen. So I don't know. I just try to tell people there's very different scenarios on how we handle each personal situation that we're going through. We can be at a doctor's office and, I've run into a lot of strange things that just kind of made me really kind of roll my eyes, and some people are very nice. Some people can be just, you just don't understand. You want people to understand, because I've had people saying, why do people keep asking me all these questions? Or, don't grab me, don't do this, don't do that. And I'm tired of educating people. It's like, well, unfortunately, it's that way. There's, we can only try to help them. And I know that I'm in a rush sometimes, and I'll try to get there, and I just want to get there and be done with it. But if I'm lost and I need to take a deep breath and say, okay, slow down for a minute. What do I need to do next? What can I do to rectify this situation or get things done? So I don't know. I just really think, Aaron, that people have to really think about the things that we're doing and how we do it. And, we have expectations for people, and then people also have their own expectations, and people are also in a rush, same as you, trying to do things. So I always try to bring an understanding to that, and just try to keep moving on. And tomorrow will be a better day, hopefully. So if not, you have your good days, you have your bad days, and I just try to just as a person and a blind person, just try to have that attitude of gratitude sometimes, to be like, I can do these things now. Because I always look back sometimes to where we come from back in the day, when the Federation was found back in the 1940s, to where we are to 2020, and we still have a long ways to go. We're always educating and letting people know. We do go to Capitol Hill, and we talk to our local representatives when there's problems that arise. Call your local representatives, let them know what's going on, show up, be there, be a voice. I had I want to talk a little bit about voters registration. So we know the election's coming up on November 3rd. So with this COVID virus, I've been giving this a lot of thought, about, am I safe enough to go to my voting polling place? Or is my polling place even going to be open, with this going on? Because a lot of the workers don't want to show up because they're afraid of the virus. And a lot of people have health conditions. And it's just everybody across the board. And so how do we, keep safe? And how do we, in Virginia right now, we are working on trying to get them to have the absentee voting ballot, being able to do it through the computer and being able to mark our own ballot without having somebody who's sighted that is marking your ballot, and having that trust, knowing that that sighted person is going to do the right thing, that your vote is going to be counted. Now, I know some states are doing early voting. There's a lot of talk still going on. So we are definitely working hard in Virginia to get that rectified, because everybody has the right to vote. And we don't want anybody left out. So, everybody's kind of trying to figure this out, and especially people with disabilities. Can we do drive-ups? I know they do drive-ups and things. So, and people live in different places and different, you may live in a rural area, but that may only have one polling place, or you may live in a place where you can't get to someplace. But, just being able to have that option of being able to vote And it's so important because I know when I had a problem here and where I live in Winchester about